Script. So, James, you're working a lot of warm market right now, and we're not talking necessarily flat tire lists. And I think you've got a pretty powerful story. I don't know if you mind sharing. I know it's still pretty fresh, but are you all right talking about that, James Butler? What your flat tire list not did for your business, but what it did for the family that you ran a practice appointment on?
Yeah, you mean the
Yeah,
recent
that one. Yeah.
recent yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the warm market is important. It's way simpler when somebody already knows you, likes you, and trusts you to be able to help them out. And I was in the construction business for a very long time, for about 8 years. Started as an apprentice at 34 years old and ended as a general foreman before I moved here to Florida. So I had a lot of warm market for people in construction that are doing pretty relatively dangerous work. So um, in summertime here, I reached out to a buddy of mine that was an old apprentice of mine, and so we were working 3 hours away from home. So we lived together. We'd travel 3 hours, stay there all week, work 10, 12-hour days, go to the gym. So instead of going back and forth every single day, we rented a hotel, and so, or not a hotel, but a two-bedroom apartment. And so this guy was my roommate all week. He was my workout partner, and he was my apprentice for a year straight. And so, fast forward, I moved to New Mexico, then I moved here, and I'm working my warm market. And this summer, I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, I know you got that union commercial construction life insurance. It's about $50,000, and it's probably if you die on the job. You got a 7-year-old daughter. What else do you have besides that? Will you sit down with me, go over this flat tire list, see what it is that you have, compare it to what it is that you could have. You're young, you're only 26 years old. I know you got a daughter. Let's look at where you're at." So he agreed to do that and, thought it was a pretty logical idea to get some coverage. And he got $600,000 in coverage, and his daughter was a beneficiary. So I tried to tell him, I said, "Hey, she's only 7 years old. Something were to happen to her. Is there anybody else that you would want that money to go to make sure that she's taken care of?" And he said, "At the moment, no, I don't. So let's just make her the beneficiary." But um, October 26th, he was on the freeway on I-5 there in Oregon, and a semi truck hydroplane and took him out. 26 years old with a 7-year-old daughter.
And you wrote that policy when, James?
Back in June,
Wow.
and this happened in late October, not long ago at all. And
And how, hold on. You said he was 26 years old?
26 years young.
You telling me that young people die too? Because I've heard through the grapevine that, these 30-year-olds and younger, they don't buy anything because some of them ain't afraid of dying, but it's kind of exactly what you did, James. Like you did it flawlessly and because it was real, because you made it real. You grabbed them and you walked them down a path to a logical conclusion. Yeah, there was emotions along the way because he was visualizing his daughter's life without him. But like I just think of what that baby girl's life would have been like if she didn't have 600 grand coming her way. It's already going to be hard. The grief is like I couldn't imagine a 7-year-old losing their dad. Like that's like that sucks. That's painful to even hear. And we can't really help with that side of it, you know? but somebody's going to be taking care of her, and whoever her guardian is, like odds are it would just be a dramatically different life if that money wasn't coming. What do you think, James?
Yeah. I mean, 7 years old, that's grocery money. That's, you know, that's costumes every year for Halloween. That's college tuition. That's prom dresses. I mean, yeah.
It's
And
hmm,
and it's not us most of the time, right? You're on the freeway. I usually am not worrying about how I'm driving. I got to worry about the guy
right.
behind, the guy in front of me, the big 18 wheeler next to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
It's
yeah,
tough. But go ahead, James. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it tore me up, you know.
Still tears me up, honestly. Um, I had a this isn't warm market, but it was from a referral. But I share this story sometimes, but I heard from Delaney one time. Now, this is recorded, and Delaney, you feel free if you hear this, and you can call me and tell me if I heard this wrong. But I heard a couple years ago, like if they need it and they can afford it, they're either getting their family covered or he's sleeping on the couch. Like that, that's and that gave me permission to go for it. You know, that gave me permission to say or ask whatever the hell I thought needed to be said or asked. Okay. Now this is 2021. Yep, 2021. Sat down with a family. This is during my AO push, James Butler. Sat down with a family. They needed it real bad. She was going to be up the creek without a paddle, and he wanted to spend $110 a month on cigarettes, but not $70 a month to protect his wife. And he heard about it. Oh my God, did I give him the business, James? I mean, just in the most respectful, calm, cool, collected manner ever, Simeon. I just because anytime that they spend dumb money, we always put an asterisk beside it. I learned this from Devin Johnson. Sorry, Hakola. Learned this from Devin Johnson earlier. He's like, this is one of the first things he taught me of all things. It wasn't the script, it was how to overcome people spending money on dumb stuff. But was like, hey, this is like once we've already gotten to almost price. I was like, hey, I forgot to ask you earlier. How much are you spending out every month on cigarettes, would you say, Bob? And he was like, I don't know, probably 100, I said, damn, thing's expensive. He said, yeah. I said, yeah, they are. I said, okay. And then I went over numbers. Now, knowing what I know now, I could have overcome that objection of him not. I could have backed him in a corner beforehand, from the stuff that I've learned from Nate Alford, where put them in a bucket, give them an identity that they don't want, right? There's recordings on YouTube of that stuff. You just type in Nate Alford. Um, but I was just asking, I was like, hey, have you ever heard? Because my mom used to always tell me, Tyler, where my money goes, my value flows. What we care about what we pay for, right? We care about what we pay for. We pay more attention to it. He said, "Yeah, man, that's the truth right there. That's the truth. You ever say my mama always said, they're always gonna say, man, that's the truth right there." Especially if you work now, them New Yorkers, that's why they don't let us sell in New York right there. Okay, because they don't care. But some Southern charm, my God. Okay, they're like, oh, your mama said, boy, you better listen to her. Like it's the truth, right, James Butler? It's the truth. And he said, yeah, that's right. I was like, and this is after he already told me that $75 a month was too expensive. I was like, hmm. And then I gave him context, right? So I didn't get hung up on Sammy. I gave him context. We talked about this yesterday. Okay. I said, man, you're really not gonna like what I got to say next. He said, what do you mean? He said, I'm a big boy, I can handle it. I was like, I don't know if you can. He said, I think I even asked him some Frank Betcher or some what's his name? Some Zig Ziglar questions. right? Like I think I asked him, man, how could I how could I say something to you that I think's gonna upset you without you getting mad at me? Something along those lines. And he's like, oh, I can handle it. Just go ahead. And I said, you sure? He said, yeah. I said, well, based off of what you just told me with that $75 being too expensive, I said it I said, what you just told me, James, is that you value those cigarettes more than you do your wife's financial future. He said, I didn't say that. I said, you spend 110 on cigarettes, but you won't spend 75 to protect her. He said, that ain't what I said. I said, that's exactly what you just said. And then I apologized to the wife. Classic Tyler Brewer move there. Right, Tyler? I said, Miss Deborah, I'm so sorry, Sugar. I said, I gave it all I could. I tried to help you the best I could. I know I can't help you after something happens, but I get, I don't know. I try. I know you were expecting my best. That's the best I could do. I'm sorry. I'll get better. That's what I told her. I said, I'll get better. You want to make a man feel like shit, right? Because his wife needed it, right? His wife needed it. And then, so I've never talked to him since. Okay. Never have. She ended up calling me, putting a policy on either herself or her husband, one of them. But then I got a phone call 3 months later from her daughter who said, my mama just loves you. I need some life insurance on me and my four kids. That was December 2021. She called me back in January 2024, said, hey, something's going on with my banking. Can we just increase these policies? I want more coverage. Actually, she said, I want coverage on um, the fathers of my kids. One of them was incarcerated. I said, there, I can't do that. Yeah, he can't sign it. He's trying to get him accidental death. I said, how much were you going to spend? It's classic here, Tyler. So how much were you going to spend? She was like, probably about 50 each. I said, I know I can tell you really care about your kids. Why don't we just put that extra $100 towards policies on you to make sure that they get more money if something heaven forbid did happen? We increased her accidental death. We increased her, she had some health issues, but I think she was like 38. Yeah, she was 39. Got her approved with Transamerica. We like doubled, tripled her coverage, something like that, James. And don't you know that in April, she fell off of a scooter while she was playing in the backyard with her kids, busted her head open, and died before she got to the hospital. It's crazy. It's crazy. And guess who called me thanking and crying her eyes out was her mama. It's the first time I talked to her since I gave her husband the business. I think she's called me probably 4 times since then just to cry and vent. It's This shit matters. It matters. People are going to die. We don't know when. All right. It could be like we could lose the one we love the most today. We don't know. Okay. We don't know. They don't know either. They may think they know. We think we can control the future, but we can't control that hydroplane 18 wheeler, can we, James Butler? I mean,
Nope.
that is like as outside of your control as possible. Like that is outside of the control. Like that stinks. There's nothing you can do. It was just his time, right? It was just his time. There's people in our warm markets right now that have kids that we haven't reached out to. Okay. And there's going to come a moment where we're going to have to look ourselves in the mirror and we're going to have to say, if only, or at least, if only I would have just reached out to them and asked, man, if only I would have just had a little bit of courage to at least send just a text message, a voice memo. Hell, at least make a Facebook post, something. Send them a DM. Hey, man, you probably got it taken care of, but I do help families with life insurance. If you'd like to shop around, I'll do it for you. No worries either way, right? It ain't got to be that deep. If only I would have just given it a shot. Or you can look at yourself in the mirror after something happened. You say, at least I gave it everything I had. Man, at least I reached out to him. At least I did try, right? Because I tell you what, like we think that courage is heavy. We think that it takes so much to have a little bit of courage, right, James Butler? We think that courage is like so far beyond us sometimes. When in reality, if you compare courage to regret, one will kill you, and it ain't courage. I'm telling you, okay? Had a 31-year-old, my brother's best friend died last year and left behind who's now two, okay, a 2-year-old daughter, a stay-at-home wife, and I think his daughter that was on the way whenever he did die is like 6 months old now. Okay. I asked him if he wanted a job. Like I tried to recruit him, but I never asked him about life insurance. Did he have any? I have no idea. Still, never asked. Never asked. Just follow me on that. It's like it's crazy. People will go door to door trying to sell roofs. Like my sister was trying to sell my dad a alarm system the other day. We got an alarm system. She's trying to set like at Thanksgiving. She goes door to door, right? She's babysitting my child right now, but my sister goes door to door. She drove to Georgia with her. Like she got hired on a Monday, and on Friday she was at an Airbnb with her new team in Georgia. I don't live in Georgia. She don't live in Georgia. Follow me on that? She knocked doors for a week, trying her best to learn how to sell some type of alarm system or something. Don't you know she came over Thanksgiving? She tried to sell me an alarm system. She tried to sell my daddy an alarm system. I was like, my daddy's got an alarm system. She's like, it don't matter. This one's better. It's got a camera on it and everything. Tried to sell. But yet we have something that like, guys, this is people's financial future here. Like, what the hell is a 7-year-old gonna do? Do you think that those kids deserve the type of life of living in a home where a husband or a wife has passed away? Like they don't deserve that. They don't deserve to be poor, to be broke. Okay? You follow me on that? Like James, I just commend you. We're not talking about goals, maybe tomorrow. But James, I just want to commend you for that courage. And maybe it wasn't courage. Maybe you just needed a dollar. I don't care either way. Because that's the beautiful part about this business is that if we get paid, it's because we did something good for somebody else. Okay? We deliver checks to grieving spouses for a living. Give me a break. Had a client from 2019 die 3 weeks ago. Two of them back to back, bang, bang. One of them was 82, one of them was 40. Right? One's getting a $5,000 check from America. One's getting a $100,000 check from America. Okay? Term policies are still good policies. It's all they could afford then. Allows her to afford more now. You got any closing thoughts here, James Butler? We're gonna get out of here.
I mean, you know, before it was like, yeah, I'm reaching out to people and I might be bugging them. And, you know, even if they don't get something from me, get something in place.
Yes.
It doesn't even have to be from me, and there's still people that I'm on their ass. People that I know, people that I grew up with that lost coverage through work, still work at the same place, but now they don't have coverage. And I've showed them options. They've seen what's happened to my old work buddy that passed away that was on Facebook. They reached out to me
Hmm.
and I gave them options and they're still hesitating. So what am I going to do? I'm bugging. I'm bugging you. It's going to be a real fucking bother when your family is broke because you're gone and you're the breadwinner and you got two kids and a wife that depend on you emotionally. I can't help you there. But if there was three, four, $500,000 tax free if something were to happen to you,
Atlanta.
Go ahead, Jim.
I mean,
So,
that's it. I don't put a one in the chat if you've had to file a death claim. I didn't think it was going to be. I knew eventually it was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to be on somebody that I knew.
yeah, I mean, here's let me kind of preference what a lot of the issue that James and a lot of people experience with their friends and their family and all that kind of bullshit, to be completely frank with you, is they don't believe in what this does is the problem. Um, they've always been told that you don't really need life insurance. So how I combat that is I mean, outside of the facts that you gave them, James, is you just got to be. This is where salespeople in this industry lose. Okay. If you're not honest with people and you're just giving them different options and just all this and not being straightforward with people, you're never going to win here. I'm just telling you. Okay. I see it in agents all day long. If you're especially with your friends and your family, if you're not honest with them and tell them exactly what this does, how this will affect everybody else around them, and if they don't buy James, that's not your fault. All you can do is move on. And then what I tell people like that, and they are my friends, I tell them that they're the biggest piles of shit. And I hope that one day they do get hit by a fucking train. That's seriously what I tell them. And then sometimes though, it realizes what who they really are, and are they worth your friendship if they don't care about their family? Because my friends care about every person that they love. That's how that should be. Everybody on this call should understand that. That every person on this call should have life insurance. Every person. If especially if you have kids. I know there's a lot of single moms and dads out here, 100%. If you don't have life insurance on that, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, shame on you. Very much. And I'm just being honest with you guys because it happens every day. We talked about it. Brian talked about it yesterday on our call, right? Casey even talked about it yesterday on our call. This shit's real. Like I don't it is real. Like my dad died at 42. I tell people all day long. Like I tell my clients, my dad died at 42 years old. I was left without a father. I mean that sinks in with people, right? Like my kids now don't have a grandfather because of that, right? But now James has a story where he can go back and say, "Hey, I got this guy covered. He's 26. I gave him 600 grand. He died in a car accident by a semi. It happens. Why would you not get covered?" And you know what, guys? $50,000, $10,000 is better than zero. So that's what I also tell my friends. Something is better than nothing. All day long, I tell them. And not to hijack that, James, but I mean, your story is so impactful for yourself and every single thing about what you have. Use these stories, guys. These stories sell. These stories help you realize what we do here truly, truly matters. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've used my story with my dad, and then I sold a policy, and then we all like kneecap to kneecap, we hugged and cried about it. But you can't do it right now over virtual. I mean, you can if you want to go, kneecap to kneecap, but you can still cry over the phone. Everybody cries. If you don't cry, I mean, whatever. I'll tell you, I fucking cry. I don't care. I mean, that's just how life is. To be honest with you guys, like a lot of people hold a lot of stuff in. It ain't worth it. Be honest with people up front, and you'll sell a lot more policies in this company. Don't be afraid. As a salesperson, don't be afraid. Plain and simple. The more you're afraid, the less you're going to be able to sell anything in life. I learned that very quick in this industry. I was the same way as some of you guys on this call right now that are afraid, that are scared, that are nervous, that don't understand. As soon as I got out of that shell, 20, 30, $40,000 a month in sales. because I didn't give a fuck about what anybody else said. I needed to make money for my family, and I needed to be honest with people about it. That's exactly the way I went at it. So just giving you guys a lot of understanding, do not be afraid. People would rather have you be honest with them than sit there and give them some BS. Every single call I make, that's my statement to most of my clients. I'm going to tell you this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. I don't BS you. This is it. So, anyways, guys, um, that great call, impactful call, dude.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, James. Let's have a fucking day.